Usually, when people call me, the word I hear most often is overwhelmed. Have any of you felt overwhelmed with your stuff? And they always want to say, I don't even know where to start. I have this, and they'll go on and tell me about all the circumstances. And I want to reassure you that you all have a tool in your homes that can help you start. All of you have this. Everybody recognize what this is? Why would this help you start? What I always advise is to start small. You just need to start. Because people say, well, I don't know where to start and how to do this. But start small. And what this does is you can put it right up to your eye, and it can focus you into one space. I know you could use other things, but it's just a tool. But I mean, truly, you go into whatever room it is that you felt you can't deal with and don't even want to look at. And you can walk in there, and you need to just focus yourself and say, I'm starting here. It doesn't matter. There's no one right way to do it. I'm going to start with just this desktop. I'm going to start with just this one cabinet, with this one shelf. Focus yourself, same way that this does, and you just start. And there's no one right way to do it. There's no one, exact method that you have to follow. I don't provide cookie cutter solutions for anybody. It's always whatever's working for you, whatever you need to accomplish, whatever is bugging you the most is what we want to focus on. And I will end up doing that with clients after I've got to know what's going on, what their goals are, what they're wanting to accomplish after we work together. I will often leave them with what I call homework, which is, when you have an extra half hour or whatever, work on this space, do this space. But you're right, time is one of those things where you have to set aside the time. There's no magic organizing fairy, sorry. But so sometimes I can provide a support role in that, but it is about taking the time, and I never make the decisions for the clients. They're the decision maker. I'm the decision implementer. So once it's my job to coach you through helping make those decisions, but you do need to set aside the time. But I will say that I often advocate that you set aside, you can organize by time or by space. That is to say, you can give yourself, literally set a timer, put on music, make it fun, and say I will only work for X time, 1 hour, 2 hours, and be done. Or you can say I will organize just this space, and whenever I'm done with that space, I will be done. Instead of telling yourself, oh my gosh, once I start, it's going to snowball, And you have to give yourself the tools to be organized in terms of set out, get your bags of you've all heard this, give away trash and recycle and sell. So get your tools set up before you start so that you're not running around the room going, okay, this goes into the trash, and you run over here, and then you run over here, and you say this goes here. Get literally set up. So I always start with bags or boxes and Sharpies and Post-its, so that you have your tools ready to go when you want to set aside that time for half an hour. So again, it doesn't matter where you're starting. You just want to start. And what I see this sort of in two phases. One is sort and purge, and then the second phase is then set up your space in the way you want it. But I always like to start with a vision of where we're going so that we know, where we're headed. And so I always ask, well, how do you use the space? How would you like to use the space? And sometimes it's obvious, and other times it's not. So I ask the question whether or not we're sitting in a kitchen and it seems like, well, duh, I use this it's the kitchen. But for some people, it's not just the kitchen, it's the main hub, or it's where the kids do the homework, or maybe you don't really even use your kitchen to cook. That's just a place that's in the house. So I want to know, how do you use the space? Who uses the space? What do you do here? How often are you here? That sort of thing. And with that in mind, that's how we make decisions about what stays in the space, because you want things to be in the space that are supporting what happens there. And I also encourage people to choose affirmatively what you want to be in your space, as opposed to trying to decide what you don't want there. I always focus on the positive. What are you keeping? What's here? And again, you're affirmatively choosing to have those things. They're creating a purpose for you, and supporting whatever happens in that space. So if you can kind of use that as a framework for making your decisions, it gets to be a little bit easier. The other thing that hangs people up often is, well, I want to get, I don't really need this, but what's going to happen to it? Where's it going to go? And I was just talking to Lisa here, who works, in recycling, trash industry and sees all the stuff that comes through. I mean, we all throw away so much stuff, and a lot of folks are hesitant to throw away stuff or get rid of stuff because they're afraid it's just going to go into landfill, and that's the one thing I definitely don't want to promote. Yes, some things are just trash, and we have to admit it. It's trash. Let it go. But there are a lot of reusable things that they're not serving us anymore, but they could serve somebody else. And so another thing I bring to the value that I bring is being able to be a resource for clients to help them decide where things can go to be kind of repurposed back out into the universe, if you will. So if you're getting rid of clothes, let's find the local women's shelter who can use the clothes, or women to work kinds of a place where we can donate the clothes. If it's art supplies, let's find a school or there's a women's therapy group in Sacramento that I take stuff to that does therapy for as a healing means women who've been exposed to domestic violence. If they're old linens and towels that aren't usable for humans, let's take them to the SPCA because they can use them for the animals. So giving people ideas of where things can go helps free up that as well, because I realize, oh, you know what, you're right. I couldn't let this go because I was afraid of where it would end up. And now that you're telling me you will, and I will take it. I will, when I help clients with sorting and purging, if you've decided you don't want that in your space, it is my job to get it out of your space and bring it to the next level. So I want you to be able to be comfortable making a decision, but I'll be, like I said, a decision implementer so that we make sure that it's not just going to go to waste. Yes?
So at my house, I do not like clutter. I get rid of stuff, but my spouse fights me.
Yeah.
Not like fight, but
Yeah.
he can't let go of things. Mm-hmm. So what's the solution for that?
Yeah. So I do have my honorary marriage therapy degree through having done this now over 10 years. And I get that all the time. It's whether it's a spouse, or I also deal with helping clear estates, and so I get sibling groups that I'm working with, and you'll have a couple of them on board and a couple not on board. So my attorney background comes in helpful with the mediation and the writing contracts and stuff. So part of it is, just going to be a personality conflict because you live with this person and you're always butting heads. But so having a third party, disinterested party to come in and kind of give an expert view can be helpful. Some of it can be what I was just speaking to, which is they're afraid they don't want to be wasteful. And so if you can give ideas around how their stuff could be reused by somebody else, sometimes they're a lot more willing to let that go. And I find that too often with seniors, that's sometimes a sticking point, because of course they come from a generation where they didn't want to waste anything. So giving those ideas. But also I think reframing it in terms of what do you want to have in your space to help you, move well within your home, your garage, your business, to be able to accomplish things, in life and be more efficient, if you will. I think reframing it to where you're making affirmative choices instead of, making you throw out all that crap, and we're just going to get a dumpster in here. Can help people be a little less defensive about their stuff. And there also are people who are just very sentimental, which I get. And there's a sensitivity there around talking it through with them and asking, why are you keeping this? But ultimately it is their choice. Sometimes I too will give, and this is especially more true for women, but let's say actually tools for men or something. If you've got, 8 of something that are just really, so then you'll say, can you just choose 2? And that actually works for